before
he
we move
deserves
on,
to be held accountable for it.
yeah, before we move on. So, this person was illegally deported. The administration conceded that he was illegally deported, but now they're saying that they have no obligation to facilitate his return, because we think that he's a gang member. How is it holding them accountable for an illegal deportation to say that it was actually Joe Biden's fault anyway?
Well, then I guess you should try and finger your ball sack then, if your eyes are lying to you. See how it works out.
Okay.
I mean, that's what you should go for. And then you go tell the...
Keep in mind, I am looking for opposition, so Delta and Coop. Not right now. Justin, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Not too good, but it's okay.
Not too good? Why aren't you doing too good?
Because I'm having a lot of people voting for the insurrectionists and then coming up and refusing to talk about it.
Why do you think that so many people voted for Donald Trump this time around?
Because I think he was really good at controlling what the media covers. Nobody was bringing up January 6th around the election. Nobody was talking about how he wanted to give them pardons. And they were talking about Haitians eating cats instead, or about, if Tim Walz was lying because he said that he went to China on a month that he didn't go to China. And we were actually avoiding all of the actually hard questions. And the mix of, inflation is a really hard hill to climb. Harris didn't have a full campaign, so it was really hard for her to win voters over. There was a lot of things.
Yeah, but I mean, what you basically just said is why the Democrats didn't win, and I'm asking you, why do you think Trump won?
I think Trump won by extension of the Democrats not winning.
Okay, so here's my position. First, let me tell you this. I voted for Donald Trump. I literally don't care about Donald Trump or any politician. I'm not MAGA. I'm not a Trumper. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. What I voted for was the lesser of two evils. And here's the thing. There's three things here. Now, I can't match you I can't match you as far as documents and pulling up laws and everything, because obviously this is what you do and this is not what I do. But I can tell you as an American voter, three things this came down to. And in no particular order. One, the border. Two, the economy. And three, the LGBTQ. When you have a party that is encouraging men to play in women's sports, when you have parents that are so far left that they are encouraging their children that they could switch genders, most of American people find that to be more cultish than MAGA. It seems way too far, and my position is that the far left wingers are the ones who put Trump in office.
Okay. Do you think any of that even holds a candle to how bad it is to rob millions of people of their votes?
Yeah, I absolutely do. You're encouraging boys to cut their dicks off.
Trans people in sports is as bad as Donald Trump trying to rob 7 states of their votes?
Absolutely.
Okay. So would you support a dictatorship if it meant that trans people weren't allowed to transition?
I would never support a dictatorship.
Okay, but do you agree that it's probably a step towards dictatorship to allow the president to try and usurp democracy?
I don't think it's no more big of a dictatorship. I don't think it's no more bigger of a step towards dictatorship than Joe Biden and his cabinet and the Democrats trying to use the judicial system to stop their opponent from campaigning against them and running for president.
Which of the indictments was bad?
You mean which one was worse?
Which one was bad? Like name one of them that was like bad.
On who? I don't understand your question.
Any of the 4 indictments against Trump, which one was bad? But like what was bad?
I mean, there was a lot more than 4 indictments.
There wasn't.
On Trump.
There wasn't. There was 4.
Oh no? Well, then I'm confused. Tell me what those 4 indictments were that you're speaking of.
There was 2 for election interference. There was 1 for retention of classified documents and obstruction, and there was 1 for falsifying business records to cover up election interference.
Oh, okay. So I thought you were talking on a grand scale of things about how many times he has been charged with something.
No, I'm
I
talking
thought
about
you
the
were bringing up
indictments.
things that have to do with sexual assault and all those allegations as well.
Yeah, those were civil.
Okay, so on those four indictments,
Hmm.
they're all bad. But I'm sorry to say this, but the not the last guy, the previous guy that you had on,
Hmm.
I think he's right. American people don't care.
Okay, I'm not asking this.
Because
Notice that
what Trump
the
did,
title of the stream
that,
isn't "Does the American people care that Donald Trump is evil?" I'm asking
yeah, Trump
why
is evil.
why did you feel justified for voting for somebody that tried to rob 7 states of their democratic voice, to steal the election?
Be, okay, let me make this very clear for you to understand.
Hmm.
What he did
Hmm.
does not affect every American citizen's life,
It does,
including
but it
mine.
does affect Georgia's. It does affect Michigan's. It does affect Pennsylvania's. It does affect Nevada's, right?
Okay,
Because
but
he was
listen to
trying
me.
to rob them of their votes, right?
Open borders, the economy, that affects every single person in the country.
Does
You're talking about
does
seven
voting does the
states
idea of voting
enforcing
of voting
one.
for the president not affect the whole country?
Does what?
Does the idea of getting your election stolen not affect the whole country?
Of course it does.
Okay, so Donald Trump was trying to steal the election in 2020, right? He was trying to
But we're
pressure
in
the vice president
2025,
to
bro.
decertify electors, okay? He was trying to overturn the rightful results of the election, right? And you voted for
Did
it.
it work? Did it work?
It was close.
But I didn't ask you if it was close. Did it work?
Nope.
It's a yes or no question.
No. So my question is,
No,
are you
it
okay
didn't.
with
So who did?
with voting for somebody that
Biden won
tried
the
to do
election.
that?
Did he not? Did Biden win the election?
Yeah.
Then that's all that matters.
That's not
You're
all that
asking me,
matters.
is it okay? Wait a second. You're asking me, is it okay that Trump tried to steal the election back? No, it's not okay.
Not
But
back.
the
He tried to steal the election. Period.
okay, he tried to steal the election. We're playing semantics now. He tried to steal
Mm-hmm.
the election.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's bad, but the reality is he failed and Biden won.
So
That was 5 years ago.
if
Here
Donald
we
Trump
are now.
wanted to say, if Donald Trump said on the campaign trail, "I want to kill all of the black people in the country," would you say like, "Yeah, but he's not gonna do it"?
No, I think he deserves to be put in prison if he was to be serious and mean that.
Okay, so if Donald Trump took legitimate steps to overturn the results of the election, do you agree that he should be in prison?
If he took legitimate steps to overturn the election, should he be in prison?
Yeah.
Is that what you just said?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, so he was
If
indicted,
it could
right?
be proven, if it could be proven beyond reasonable doubt that he's guilty of doing that.
Okay. We're getting somewhere. Okay.
You-
So if
You
Donald Trump
can't go ahead.
if Donald Trump was asking the vice president to illegally decertify electoral college votes, do you think that that would count as taking steps to overturn the results of the election?
Did the vice president testify to that in the Supreme Court?
He wouldn't testify to that in the Supreme Court, but yes. I mean, like, we literally have public correspondence from Trump to Pence trying to do that.
Can you provide that information? Can you provide that link, that information, that proof?
So
that
I can't put links in the.
Did you hear Mike? Did you hear Mike Pence say that Donald Trump did that?
Well, Mike Pence said that Donald Trump was asking him to put him in front of the Constitution. That's a direct quote from Vice President Pence.
Okay,
this
but
was
that's not the same thing you just said.
This was a tweet on January 6th at 1 a.m. He tweeted,
Go ahead.
"If the Vice President, Mike Pence, comes through for us, we will win the presidency. Many states want to decertify the mistakes they made in certifying incorrect and fraudulent numbers in a process not approved by their state legislatures. Mike can send it back." So that's a direct call for Mike Pence to decertify election results.
Okay.
So, and he tweeted that publicly. So that's a
Okay,
concrete
and-
step towards asking him to overturn the results of the election, right?
I
Like,
wouldn't say
literally
it's concrete.
publicly
I would
doing
say
it?
it's he said, she said.
No, it's not he said, she said. It's Trump tweeted, and then we accurately read the thing that he tweeted.
No, you just read what Mike Pence tweeted.
No, that's what Donald Trump tweeted at 1 a.m.
Okay, I'm sorry. Read it again to me then. I was confused.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
apologize.
If Vice President Mike Pence comes through for us, we will win the presidency. Many states want to decertify the mistakes they made in certifying incorrect and even fraudulent numbers in a process not approved by their state legislatures. Mike can send it back.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that tweet.
It is Trump publicly asking Mike Pence to decertify the election results, right?
I don't think there was anything that you just said that would require a question mark at the end of that. That sounded like a statement.
Yes,
That sounded like a statement
telling Mike Pence
Mike
to
Pence
decertify
able
the
to
election
do
results,
such
right?
and such. We can win this election.
Yeah, and such and such was
That's
decertify
what it
the
sounds
election
like.
results, right?
That's exactly what it sounds like.
When you say Mike Pence
Yeah,
to
that's what it
do
sounds
such
like.
and such, he said it means decertify election results, right?
Right, that's what it sounds like.
Okay.
It's exactly what it sounds like.
So,
But I don't know for certain that that's what it meant.
he
And I
literally
don't think
says
anybody does. I don't think it's all speculation.
many states want to decertify. That's what he said.
Is there any truth? Was there any truth to that?
No. And
Did
not
many states want to decertify?
no. And not only that, but like decertifying electors after they're certified through the vice president would violate the Electoral Count Act.
All right, but let me ask you this. Here's what I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand how this would be such a problem for you and anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Donald Trump won that election,
Mm-hmm.
but he lost.
Yeah, but
he
it was
tried, according to you and according to millions of people, he
mm-hmm.
cheated his way to lose anyway.
Yeah,
All he did was cheat to fail. So in the grand scheme of things, it did nothing for him.
The reason it's important is that this person was trying to pressure as many people as he could to steal the election, and then we just voted him back into the most powerful position in the United States. That he was trying to rob 7 states of their votes just because they voted against him, and now he is in the top position of the country again, and he escaped all punishment for it. Just because he was the president. And now he pardoned all of the people who tried to use violence to try and overturn the results of the election, and is now talking about giving them compensation.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, I want you to be objective right now to your audience.
Yep.
Do you think that Donald Trump is the only political criminal?
No.
Do you think he's the only one who lies to the American people and is out for power and greed alone?
No.
Do you think it exists on the opposite side as well?
Yes. I mean, we have evidence of that with Eric Adams.
For Trump than anybody else?
One more time?
Do you think that Trump's political crimes, or I'm using that for a lack of better words.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that it makes him worse than the other politicians?
Yes.
Okay, so how about Joe Biden pardoning his son?
Okay. So
what do you think about that?
I think it was bad, but pardoning someone over novel gun charges is different from pardoning insurrectionists who tried to overturn the results of the election for you. It's a separate thing.
How did the insurrection try and turn over the election?
Because on January 6th,
they stormed the Capitol. That's not going to turn over an election.
So what was happening in the Capitol was the certification of the election. So they were trying to storm into the Capitol to try and pressure Mike Pence to overturn the results of the election, like Donald Trump was asking him to do.
Okay, so you think that so you think it's okay then? Is that what I'm getting? You think that what Biden did is okay?
No.
Pardoning his son.
No, I think it was bad.
You're just saying that one is worse.
Yes. Like much worse,
right.
like significantly worse.
Okay, but so let me ask you this. Why does one have to be worse? Why can't they just both be crimes and both be charged for it? Why aren't you making any complaints on both sides?
Because
why aren't you complaining about Biden doing that and what Trump did?
Because Donald Trump is the president. Like Joe Biden doesn't have political power right now. Donald Trump does.
Okay, but Donald Trump didn't have political power in 2020, and
He,
you
he
still
did.
held on
He was
to
the
it.
president.
Okay, 2021. He lost the
He
election in 2020.
correct, but he held office until January 20th. So even when January 6th happened, he was the president.
Right. Okay. So I don't know like exactly where we're going with this. I think I'm just gonna say this.
Mm-hmm.
You're what you have posted up here
Yeah.
is that Trump is evil.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I will say.
Mm-hmm.
I have no proof that Donald Trump is not evil. None at all.
Okay.
I don't agree with everything that he does.
Okay.
I agree that coming into this country illegally is a crime and you should be
I
deported.
agree.
Do I think he's handling everything right as far as due process goes? No. Do I
Yeah.
think that he's handling things perfectly when it comes to the tariffs? No. I think that other countries deserve those tariffs because they put tariffs on us. But I think that basically us American people, you included, that we are basically choosing the lesser of two evils when we vote. There's no one
Mm-hmm.
good that we're voting for.
I agree. But when we're looking at the lesser of two evils right now, we're looking at somebody who believes that trans people exist. And then the other one is someone who tried to rob 7 states of their votes and then pardoned all of the people who attacked police officers to do it. Like, we're talking about two wildly different things in scope. Like, it's like saying, like, who do you want to babysit your daughter? Someone who stole $20 from you or somebody who is a child rapist? And you're like, well, both were
Somebody who rolled
bad.
$20 from me. Absolutely.
Yeah, right now it feels like what we're doing is saying, like, well, both were bad and both were illegal because this person stole something from me. So I mean, either choice is probably going to be whatever at the end of the day. But Donald Trump's was way worse and like way uniquely worse. Like, the last time that an assault on our democracy like this happened was when was the Electoral Count Act passed? Like the 1800s.
Right. Do you if do you want to see Donald Trump succeed?
Yeah, well, it depends. Or if we're talking about his like goals of success, then no. But I mean, I hope that he has a successful president, and I hope that he helps the American people. But I don't. I just have very little faith that he would.
Okay. But if he did, what would you do? Like so all right, so like basically what I'm asking you is I've come across a lot of people that hate Donald Trump so much
Mm-hmm.
and they despise him so much that they long for his failure. And I don't understand that
I mean,
because then that would mean the failure of our country.
I hope that he fails in starting a war with Canada. I hope he fails in illegally deporting people. But I mean, I hope, like, if he can help the American people, that's good. I mean, I think he's going to have a very difficult time doing anything good enough to account for the crimes that he's already done, and the pardoning of the people who helped commit those crimes. But I mean, it'd be nice if he
But
could.
you when you just said just now deporting people illegally,
Uh-huh.
how do you they're illegal people. How is it
Because
illegal to deport them when they're illegal themselves?
So let's look at the Abrigio Garcia case, where he had an explicit withholding of removal, which meant that we could not deport him back to El Salvador because he faced reasonable, or he had a reasonable threat of retribution if he was deported back to El Salvador. And then we deported him back to El Salvador anyway. And then the administration admitted that it was an administrative error. But now that he's in El Salvador, there's not much that we can do. And they just kind of threw their hands up. So that's like an illegal deportation. And they even admitted that it was an illegal deportation, but they just said that we can't do much about it.
But let me ask you something. Do you think that that falls on the current administration?
Yes.
All right, let me tell you why I disagree with you. I understand that it's on them. They're in charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's what I'm going to say as far as why I think it falls on the current administration. Because if they didn't let, I don't know, 20 million illegal immigrants in here in this last 4 years, maybe somebody like who you just mentioned, I'm not even sure the guy's name,
Yeah.
but maybe that guy who you just mentioned wouldn't have fell through the cracks like that.
Well, he
and
didn't
got
fall through the
deported when
cracks.
he
They
belonged to believe when he deserved to be here.
they didn't fall through the cracks. He was picked up by ICE while he was driving his autistic son home from his grandparents' house. He was picked up from ICE and he was deported in 3 days. That's not falling through the cracks.
No. Maybe I chose the wrong words. What I mean is that he basically got mixed in with a bunch of all illegals,
He was
and his situation wasn't handled properly.
That doesn't mean it's justification. And when I say illegal,
I didn't say it's justified. I'm not justifying it. What I'm saying is I believe that it's not the current administration's fault.
well,
I
that's
think
that's
that
a justification.
well, what I'm saying is it's on justification on behalf of the previous administration in my eyes, because I feel like they basically gave the current administration, as far as illegal immigration goes, this giant clusterfuck to deal with.
Well, right
And
now you're basically making a
unfortunately,
blanket that Donald Trump could never be held accountable for any of the deportations that he does because Joe Biden gave him a bad situation. That's like I don't buy that. Like it feels like if Donald Trump was like lining them up and like one of them accidentally died because of an ICE person, shooting them, you'd say like, well, there's so many that they need to save time where they can. Like it feels like we're going to use this excuse to walk off of any bad thing that Donald Trump could do immigration wise.
No, I don't think that's the case at all. And I do think that everybody should be held accountable, especially when you're in position of power. I'm just stating that I think the responsibility
Okay. Well,
or the cause
yeah,
falls
sure.
on the previous administration.
So
But
here's my
the current
question.
administration,
Before
he
we move
deserves
on.
to be held accountable for it.
Yeah, before we move on. So this person was illegally deported. The administration conceded that he was illegally deported, but now they're saying that they have no obligation to facilitate his return because we think that he's a gang member. How is it holding them accountable for an illegal deportation to say that it was actually Joe Biden's fault anyway?
What's this guy's name again?
Abrigio Garcia.
Abrigio Garcia, and he
Like
was driving his
Kilmar
autistic kid home?
Abrigio Garcia, I think.
How long ago did this happen?
Last month.
Roughly. Last month. All right, so I'm gonna be fair and say this. I'm gonna have to look into this more because you have way more information on this specific case than I do. Well, if you're telling me they're accusing him being a gang member, or a criminal or whatever they're accused, I need to hear both sides. Right now, I'm only hearing yours.
Okay. Well, I mean, regardless of whatever the other side says, they already admitted in court that it was an administrative error that they deported him. So he had no grounds to be deported, and now they're refusing to facilitate his return.
Well, then that's totally fucked up, and he should have the current administration has the responsibility to fix that error and help him get back to his family.
Do you think that it's kind of evil for them to say that we shouldn't be facilitating his return?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
glad we can agree there.
Yes. Can I ask you a similar question now?
Yeah, sure.
Do you think it's evil to encourage people that they can change their gender
No, I don't
based
think
on
it's
feelings?
evil.
You don't think so?
No, and I would also reject the framing.
So let me get this understood. So if I have a boy,
Mhm.
if I'm a father and I have a boy,
Mhm.
but all this time, me and my wife, we wanted a girl,
Mhm.
and I start to encourage my son that he was supposed to be a girl and dress him in girl clothes, and then I go ahead and try to encourage him to believe he's a girl. You don't think I would be an evil person, an evil parent?
That would be evil, yes. But that's no. I reject that. That's what's
You don't
happening
think that's
right now.
taking place in this country?
It may in a couple cases, and in those cases it would be evil, yes. But in most cases, I think in order to facilitate any start to the transition process, you need the consent of the children, the parents, and the doctor or physician that you're seeing. So it's not just going to be, oh, the dad wanted a girl, so he starts conditioning the child to be a girl, and then everyone's just going to go along with that.
So you don't think the only person that should have a say-so in it is that child when that child turns into an adult at 18 years old?
I mean, it just depends. Like, I don't feel comfortable making a blanket statement like that because, like, when you're refusing to give these people gender-affirming care in some cases, if they have gender dysphoria, that's going to, like, wildly up their suicidality, and that feels like kind of a bad thing to allow. Now I'm not saying that we should just be able to snap our fingers and then like this kid's trans or whatever. I think that's probably bad too, and I think that anybody arguing for that's probably bad. But to act like it's as simple as the dad said that he wanted a girl, so he's just going to make his kid a girl is maybe represents like 20 cases in all of American history.
But listen, you can't go. Somebody can't go into a bar and buy an alcoholic drink until they're 21. You can't go into a store and buy a pack of cigarettes until you're 18.
Mm-hmm.
We as society in this country believe that you have to be a certain age of consent for sex. You have to be a certain age to buy alcohol. You have to be a certain age to buy a pack of cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, when it comes to actually changing your physical, who you are, who you were born as, the age doesn't matter.
Well, I'm not saying that the age doesn't matter. Like we shouldn't be doing this for 4-year-olds, but like it's just complicated. Like there's a reason that we draw the line for driving at 16 and, you know, drinking alcohol at 18 and signing up for the military at 18. Like there's different things that the psychiatrists and psychologists agree are appropriate for different ages. And there's not, like, I disagree with anybody going through any sort of gender affirming care without any, like, you know, long-term like doctor's visits or whatever. But to say that I know better or the state knows better than the parents or the kids and the doctor just feels kind of, you know, not right to me. Now, obviously, there are some crazy shit that happens, obviously. And there are some people that, you know, take the trans stuff too far, quote unquote. I probably don't support trans women in sports or in women's sports. But first of all, I reject that this is like a big issue. And the fact that we have like illegal deportations, like a death camp going on at CCOT, you know, an insurrectionist in office talking about paying the money. I don't feel like trans women in women's sports is that big of a deal in comparison to all of that. And I also feel like I don't have the right to say that I know better what's better for this child than their parents, the child, and the doctors.
Okay, listen. Look, regardless of what your stance is, this is what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we're all created with logic and common sense. And whether you want to admit this right now on TikTok Live,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure deep within your heart, you know that the facts are there are only men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So you do know better than the parents, the child, and the doctor if they are telling or they are encouraging in any shape or form that anyone can be switched from a woman to a man or a man to a woman. You absolutely do know better than them. And that's exactly why Trump is in office right now. Because
you can say that we were all
went so far with this type shit that the whole country voted red up and down the board because we got sick of it.
Trans people is not, like, if you look at the exit polling, trans people is not one of the main reasons that people voted for Trump, first of all. Second of all, you can say that we were born with logic, but you're not using logic in order to get to this. Like, if we take the argument that you just made logically, you could make it for anything ever. Like, I can say, in your heart of hearts, we all know, and you know too, that the grass outside is actually purple. And if anybody else tells you otherwise, they're just brainwashed. So you do know better than the scientists, you do know better than the doctors, and you do know better than all of the, you know, people who study the environment, because you in your heart of hearts know, even if you don't want to admit it, that the grass is purple. Like, that's not a solid argument.
You're talking about perception, bro, and I'm talking about the facts. The facts are that you have two things hanging.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the facts too. I'm talking about the fact that grass is purple.
You can't change that, bro.
Yeah, and you can't change the fact that the grass is purple.
But that's perception. That is somebody perceiving that the grass is purple.
This is the point that I'm making. Like, your argument right now is not one of logic.
What's hanging between your legs is a fact.
That's
like,
true.
what do you? How do you compare the two? Nobody's perceiving. You don't look in the mirror and perceive that you have a dick and balls hanging. It's an absolute fact. If I say the grass is purple, that's me perceiving something. That's not a fact.
At the end of the day, everything is perception. Like, your eyes could be lying to you. But, I mean, we're getting into philosophy that doesn't matter.
Well, then I guess you should try and finger your ball sack then, if your eyes are lying to you. See how it works out. Okay. I mean, that's what you should go for. And then you go tell the doctor how it worked out for you.
Okay. Well, I mean, so okay. I mean, I'm glad that that's the reason that we voted for an insurrectionist. I don't know. I that just feels super unconvincing to me. I encourage that you look into the case of Kilmar Brugio Garcia. I encourage you to look into the Jack Smith indictment. But if there's one more thing you want to say, you can. I got to move on to the next person.
No, go ahead. Move on to the next person, man. Have a good day.
All right, you too.